Okay, hey, welcome back. We're at class number 3 in effective devotions, and we are. I hope you got the first two. If not, go back on YouTube and find them. It should be on our channel. They all look about the same. Effective devotions, number 1, number 2, number 3. And this is the last one. This is just like some real simple classes that we teach at our church. And I like to do this several times a year. It's really important. We have people that actually take it several times and go through it because it's just good devotional stuff. As I mentioned or have mentioned it before in many of our recordings, at our church we have a lot of Bible studies and home groups and Bible small groups, I think people call them, a lot of different things. We call them growth groups. We do sermon-based groups, and so basically every sermon has a bunch of questions. I don't think, well, actually I do have one right here. This is a set of sermon notes, and whoa, move that right there, the blue part right there by my fingers. Those are all questions that have to do with this sermon here that was preached. Here's the notes. We have a kind of a front and a back, and then these are the questions. And everybody that is involved in a group, we like for them to go through those questions. And the first one is, was there anything you heard on Sunday, that you didn't understand or you need some clarity on? And our leaders go through and teach that. And we get some good discussion going on the sermons, and then there's questions. So this is the effective devotion group that I'm teaching here is not one of those, but it is a starter group. And from this, and we're doing this one during the holidays, so we are coming right into the Christmas holiday, so we won't do it again until the first of the year. But from this group, at the end of this group, we stopped and had a discussion about, if you enjoyed this, we'd love to get you in a home group. And is there someone that would volunteer their house? Is someone volunteer to help with some of the leadership stuff? And I will probably birth a whole new group from this. And that is how we get our group started. They've spent 3 or 4 weeks together, kind of studying the Word, kind of getting to know each other. And then from there, we birth a brand new group. And so we have many of these that go on throughout every night of the week at our particular church. So we do a little bit different, but it works really well with our shift workers and we have a lot of oil field refinery type workers and penitentiary workers that have these different shifts that rotate 4 days on, 4 days off, 4 days on, 4 days off. So the consistent thing in the middle of the week doesn't work really good. So the groups kind of roll and flow with the schedule. So a little bit different, but it works for us. But this particular one is the last of the 3 weeks that we did on Bible study. And I want to reiterate one thing is very important. This is not a midweek service, okay? We don't sing. We don't, if you notice, we didn't even open in prayer. We pray at the end and close things out. And we have some prayer time. And our groups have lots of prayer. They have much more detailed prayer for all the individual things, but this was a training event where people just come, sat down, boom, 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 and we got some things done. So it is not an event. It is not church, okay, in the sense of, we have songs and some of that. We do that at other times, but not here. This is just training, and we do it on what we would call an off night. Do it on a Tuesday night or a Thursday night. Those are the ones that seem to work best for us. I have done them on Mondays. I've actually done them on Sunday afternoons. We've tried about everything, and this is what has worked for us here. So anyway, I will get out of the way here and give you the event, let you get to it. It kind of got cut off abruptly there at the end, and I'll explain that in just a little bit when we get back. So this is our number 3 class, and then I'll get into the details when I get back on exactly what we taught and how we did that, so you can repeat this and do it your way. So anyway, signing out. And by the way, for those who don't know, I'm Mike Holmes. I didn't introduce myself at one of the other ones, but Mike Holmes, pastor, founding pastor, Sinclair Baptist Church, and you're watching this on our YouTube channel at reachkeep.com. So, all right. Well, hey, welcome again. I got my whiteboard here, but I don't have my marker. Left it over here on this one. Let me grab that.
We're on YouTube.
They are on, I think I sent you a link to it, which then would just go, it
Didn't work.
It didn't work? Okay. All right. Well, never mind. I won't tell you where it is then, because it didn't work.
Okay.
I have a YouTube channel that all these are supposed to be on, and it's on it's our Reach Keep thing. Reach Keep is the ministry that I still do, where I help the churches around the country, and we got dozens and dozens of videos on Sunday school classes and pastoral leadership, stuff like that. A lot of it's more designed for pastors out in the field doing work and planting churches, but it's the only YouTube channel I have. And quite frankly, a lot of people watch it because a lot of churches need to teach their people how to have daily devotions. I think that's as I mentioned, you give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. You teach him to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. And same thing with devotions. If we teach you to come to church and be faithful to church, it's a good thing. We want you all to be at church and you hear a sermon, and that's good. But if we can teach you to connect with God every day, no matter where you are the rest of your life, you can connect with God. Okay? Because some of us are going to be stuck in a ditch somewhere in a snowstorm. Some of us will be incarcerated. Some of us will be in, cancer treatments in a hospital, and you don't have any way. Think of all the millions of people that have had COVID and haven't been in church for the last, how long, 2 years we've kind of had this deal. But if they had their Bible and it was next to them, even if they were sick and still able to sort of read, they'd be able to function. So that's the idea, is to be able to have some good devotions. So the first week we talked about the idea of daily, making sure that you meet with the Lord daily. We'll kind of reinforce some of that today. And then I gave you another word that I put on the whiteboard, and it was the word get. You go till you get. It's like when you're hunting. You don't go out there and walk around the woods. You go around there to bag an animal and get your animal. So you want to read the Bible till you connect with the Lord, and that gives you something to meditate on, and you have then connected. And that is the most important principle, is that we meditate on the Word of God. The idea of reading the Bible, very good. Idea of memorizing, very good. A lot of value to that. But the idea of meditating is really the top of the pyramid on that. It's the most important one, where we get something and we think on it, we go over and over and over in our head, and we have connected with the Lord. And then last week we covered the idea of being early, making it early in your priority, not necessarily early in the day, although I think that is important concept, but early in priority. And that is where you've got a to-do list of 10 things you got to get done today. The Bible reading and spending time in devotions needs to be up at the top. Needs to be up there, right after maybe getting a cup of coffee, or I'm not sure how your morning system works there, but you kind of settle in, and have a time with the Lord, or you do it on the way to work. And I mentioned this, and there's several people do this, and it's you can create the habit. You're on your way to work. You stop at the whatever truck stop, you stop and get the donut, and you sit in your vehicle where you're alone with your Bible, and you read for a few minutes in your vehicle, and no one will disturb you there. And that's a good system to kind of set up, where you can do that kind of regularly. So talked about the idea of early, and we talked about having a place. Okay? And then today I want to give you a word that it kind of goes along with the daily thing here. And I'll write it down. Okay. It's the word repeat. Okay. Rinse and repeat. You've probably heard that from the shampoo commercials or whatever. But this is the idea of, not only daily, but repeating this forever and ever and ever till the day you die. And you will not regret this. I just guarantee you that if you are raising children, have a job, in any kind of relationship, that if you start repeating, you daily spend time with the Lord, you get close to Him, you meditate, and you go over and over and over and over and over, repeat, you know what's going to happen? You're going to have so much in your bank account. It's those of us that were in Financial Peace University, the idea of putting like $5 in a savings account every day. If you put $5 in a savings account every single day, you will have a lot of money. Okay. In fact, I've talked to the people. This is some of our smokers. I said, if you could stop smoking and put the $5 about, okay, and it's give or take, depending on how many packs and some of that, but you put $5 in an account, get a decent return on that, your children will go to any college they want to, and you will pay for it all, okay, because it just works that way. The idea of savings, and it works that way spiritually when you do this, because after 5, 6, 10, 20, 30 years of spending time with the Lord every single day, you be able to handle whatever. You don't have to worry about all the problems of life that are coming. I mean, they're going to come, and we're all going to have, sicknesses and illnesses and problems and unexpected this and that. But it's the repeat thing. If we just keep on doing it, we keep banking that in there. There's several verses that talk about habits in the scripture. And let me just kind of, I don't think you need to read them. I'll just kind of tell you what they are. I think we know what they are. So, okay. Come on in, Miss Stacy. We saved you a chair.
Thanks.
Yeah. Daniel, in the book of Daniel, if you remember, Daniel got thrown in the lion's den. They knew that Daniel was going to go out and pray on his back porch, however he did it, every day. And that's how they caught him, because he had a habit. It says, as he did aforetime, Daniel prayed towards Jerusalem every day, but it was his daily habit that made that happen. And that's found in Daniel chapter 6. He did it as he did aforetime. There's a couple of interesting verses about Jesus, where Jesus went into the synagogue, and the Apostle Paul went into the synagogue, and it says, as their manner was, or as their custom was. And this was a habit that they had formed. And those verses deal a little bit more with kind of going to church, but it's the idea of a habit. If you can create devotions as a habit, and it is effective when you do it. Now, if it's not effective, and here's really what we've all learned, okay? Everyone's probably tried some kind of diet, and they've done it for a little bit, and it didn't work, and so they quit. Because it wasn't effective, then they quit the long term. But if you can learn to, be effective in here and meditate and get and connect and have that early place with God, then you start adding that every single time. I'm telling you, it's going to make an absolute difference in your life. I'm going to come back here when I'm like 95 years old, and I'll come back to little Sinclair because I'm retired in Cancun, wherever. And I'll come back, and it'll be all you guys will be here, and you'll be a lot older and a little grayer, but you'll all be still solid with the Lord because of that. Okay. Church will help too. Being in church all the time, that's essential as well. But consistency with the Lord is the main thing. And then I want to add another word to it here, and it is, let me just write it down here. It's kind of a word that has a lot of different meanings, okay? And you probably don't see it as much in the word in church, okay? Because it kind of conjures up different thoughts. But it's the word intimacy, okay? And this is the idea that when we are meeting with the Lord, it is close. It is tender. It is precious, okay? And it can be just as that intimacy that you have as a married person, as the friendship, the bond. You have the repeated intimacy. You have repeated time with the Lord that is close, and you are bonded with Him. Very interesting that Jesus was picking the disciples, and He's going to pick 12 guys that are going to be His. And He had a bunch of followers already. And He's going to pick 12 of them, and He's going to kind of move them from being just kind of disciples or as followers, and He's going to ask them to become what we know as apostles. In other words, the main 12, okay, the ones that you hear about all the time. And it says in Mark chapter 3, verse 14, it says, He ordained 12 that they should be with Him and that He might send them forth to preach. Now, this was Peter that went out to preach, and James went out to preach, and if we follow their lives, we can see all these tremendous things that they did. But Jesus said He ordained them that they should be with Him, and that He might send them forth to preach. And the most important thing for a preacher or a pastor or these apostles, is that they had an intimate, close relationship with Jesus Christ. And that spreads to the flock. We need to have that. It's good that I get to preach every once in a while. It's good that I can pastor. All the things I've done, those have been wonderful things, helped a lot of people, done a lot of cool things. But the most important thing is that I spend time with the Lord. That I have an intimate relationship with Him, and I mind the store, make sure I take care of that. And that is important that you do that. The Apostle Paul said in Philippians chapter 3, he says that I might know Him and the power of His resurrection. In other words, Paul, this guy that wrote half the New Testament, what's the most important thing that he could do? I mean, it seems like, get to another town and start another church and, action, action, action. And while that's all important, and it is important to do, serve the Lord. It's important to be with the Lord. It's important to have intimacy. And you know that with your family. You know that with your children. You know all that kind of stuff. I have like a week from today, they will all be here. My kids and my grandkids, they should all be here. Some are getting here on Sunday, some are Monday, some are Tuesday. But by Tuesday night, I think that's going to happen. If they don't get into weather problems traveling, they should all be here. And, we're just so excited because we just want to be together. And that's what it's like with the Lord. It's having that repeated intimacy over and over and over and over. And if we can do that, I just guarantee you that you will make it through the tough times that are coming down the road. Okay? Because you're going to have relational disasters. You're going to have financial crashes. We're going to have all the physical things are going to happen to us, as we get older. All that stuff's going to happen at some level. I think there's some famous charismatic preacher that, always got on television. He said, something good is going to happen to you, And I kind of like that. I mean, it's good. I think something good's going to happen to you. But let me also just say it the other way. Something bad's coming your way. Okay, I am back with you here. Sorry for the abrupt ending on that. I was recording all this just on the regular old telephone, and I had forgot to do the do not disturb thing, and got a call from a deacon right in the middle of the thing, and it kind of chopped it off there. But the idea there that I was just sharing is, some people say something good's going to happen to you. Hey, folks, something bad's going to happen to all of us, okay? We're going to have all those relational disasters, medical things, phone call from the doctor, phone call from the sheriff department. Those things just terrify me when my children are traveling, all that. But bad things are going to happen, and we need God to take us through. And that is going to be one of the greatest testimonies you ever have for your children, for anybody, is that you are solid with the Lord, and He is helping take you through all these particular issues. So let me give you the technique that we used on this particular one. We gave out several reading assignments, and it's just kind of to have them do their devotions on their own. But on this particular one, we came back, and I went to, we wanted to do some Christmas verses, so I went to Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 6. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given. And the government, anyway, now that I'm on camera, I can't say it. But anyway, His name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Prince of Peace, the Everlasting Father. Those are the portions we dealt with. And I said, what you don't want to do now when you're doing things is you want to find the bigger words or words that are intriguing to you as you're reading through a verse, and you find that word, and you want to redefine that word, or you want to expand that word. I said many times when you go to church, what a pastor will do is he will take a verse, and he will take a single verse, and he will expand it, or he will exposit on it. He will kind of, give all the definitions and the tenses and the different angles and view it this way and view it that way. And what you want to do is do some of that stuff on your own. You want to kind of give the gist of the verse. It's kind of interesting in the Beatitudes where Jesus was preaching the Sermon on the Mount. He wasn't necessarily quoting a particular verse in some of those, but he was giving the gist of many of the spiritual concepts. He was kind of talking, blessed are the, so-and-so. And he would kind of give the idea that was out there without the particular verse. Now, for those of us that are very particular about the inspiration of the Scriptures and the text and the individual words are exactly what they mean, this is a place where you're going to have to kind of have a little bit of compassion, because you do this as a pastor all the time. You expand those words and then explain it. And in this case, you're going to be having your people kind of expand some of those verses on their own and giving the gist of it, the idea that is behind there, and letting the Spirit move through that, and you kind of grabbing hold of those things. So in those particular things, what we did is I had them just take a word, and so again, out of Isaiah chapter 9:6, I want you to take the word wonderful, and I want you to write 5 other words that have to do with the word wonderful. And these are going to be some words we're going to meditate on. The Lord is, and of course we came up with, He's remarkable. He is, and I didn't write down all the ones that they had. I've got them actually on my clipboard at the house. But He was wonderful. He is awesome. He is great. He is majestic, and all of these words. So I said, these are some great things to meditate on. That Jesus came to earth, and He is majestic. He is awesome. He is remarkable. And so then we kind of gave them some of those things to meditate on. And what I do is I have people list them out, and I like to get them to write them down. Okay, so you write them down, and then when you are going through all those, you go back through and you have 10, 15 different words that have to do with the word wonderful. One of those is going to stick out to you, okay? And you circle that one, and that becomes your meditation. So Jesus becomes the wonderful, say the word was reliable, okay? He is the wonderful, reliable God, and you spend the rest of the day, and you can get a piece of paper and write wonderful, reliable on there, and you meditate on the reliable nature of God. And you can, if you're into Bible study, you can go in and maybe find other verses about He is trustworthy, is reliable. You could do that, and that's an okay thing to do. But I try to get them, again, these are short, concise things where you just have effective devotions in a short amount of time. You hunt until you grab hold of that particular thing, and that becomes your thing that you meditate on over and over and over. And that is what brings you to this closeness or this intimacy with God. And so that is sort of the gist of what we're doing. Counselor was one. We did counselor, and there was all sorts of advice giver, etc. It was great. We went through and talked about all that, and you could just see people's faces kind of lightening up. Jesus is the one. He is the therapist. He's the one that helps. He's the one that takes you through. He's the one that, counselors, what do counselors do? They listen to you. Jesus listens to me. He listens to my innermost things. And so we really expanded on that. The idea of the everlasting Father. Okay, that's kind of a double word there. So we kind of got into the word Father. Okay, and what does a father do? I mean, I wrote down some of these things as I was meditating on this. A father, and again, this would be the right kind of father. I understand a lot of people don't have the right kind of father, and that's where this verse can really be a big strength. This is what you will get if you have the right kind of father, and this is what you can become for your children, the right kind of father. An advice giver. a person who is supportive, a person who takes care of the sustenance side of things, the food and roof over the thing, a person who gives comfort, a person who gives security. I said, all of those things are there. Now think of adding the word everlasting in the front of it. The everlasting Father. He's the everlasting advice giver. He's going to give you advice every day of your life. He's going to support you every day of your life. He's going to sustain you every day from here on out, from till eternity. Okay, he's going to comfort you. He's going to be your security, and he's going to be that. So this is where you take a word in a verse and you really expand out on that word, and then you in that process find one of those things that really helps you meditate on. So for this idea of, like, he's security. He is a father is security. I am secure in him. He's going to be my everlasting security. He's not just my security today, but he's going to be next week, next week, next week, next week. When I'm in a hard place, he's going to be there. When I'm in a scary place, he's going to be there. When I think I'm going to die, he's going to be there. Security, security, security. And this is just an awesome way to take a verse and dig into it. So that is what we did on the last one there. We kind of had them use the tool that we talked about using was a thesaurus, and many people have that on their phone now. So people opened up their phone and pulled out words that were the similar type of words, and similes, I think they call them technically, and came up with all these different similar type words, and it was a wonderful way to grab hold of something to meditate on. And so that is what creates that intimacy that we talked about in the early part, when you just go over and over and over. And if you have a spouse, you understand this. She's wonderful, great person. You love them, and you think of all the great things that they have done. And that's what really makes a close relationship with God. So these have been my 3 lessons on effective devotions. And again, very simple. At the conclusion of this group, what we did is we talked, and I just presented it to them. I did not get any feedback or whatever. I just said, if you really enjoyed doing this, I would be willing to do this with you some more. So after the first of the year, we would meet at someone's house probably, and we would take a portion of scriptures and we would study that. We would probably, and I told them about the sermon notes. I said we usually kind of go through those and kind of touch on the sermon and get some things, but we also could do a particular study of a book or a passage, or continue to grow in the Lord together. And you could just see the head bobbing going on. And this is how we get people into our groups. And of course, our groups are much deeper, where there's much more prayer and there's much more concern and care for each other. The groups are how we actually do a lot of the care in our church. So when someone's hospitalized or has a broken foot or whatever, the groups do a lot of the care stuff, so that the pastor isn't doing all of that stuff himself. He's got people that are doing it. He's training shepherds to do that. So anyway, Mike Holmes, Sinclair Baptist, reachkeep.com, remind you of who I am. And signing out, if you like this kind of stuff, I'd be happy to teach more on this. Contact me. If you're involved in our Reach Keep ministry, you probably know how to do that, but you can shoot me a text at info@reachkeep.com. That's just info@reachkeep.com, and we'll be here to help you. So thank you so much, and God bless, and we're here for you. Okay, that's the bottom line. We're here for you. So take care.